If it hurts, you ain't afraid, no get you, don't let up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the games after this win in. First year game, we're here for the first play. Carry block, you never 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
No team can really stop us. Like, you can't handle what we have. Like, even like the amount of rotations, we're gonna be so fresh off the field. We got Big O, Big E, Jackson Moy. We got Bryson Easton, Omar Norman Lott. We got Dave and Hodge, and them. That's just the interior right there. Them 6 guys on the interior that's gonna be rotating. And then on our edges, like y'all see it, man. You see who we got, man. We got James Pierce off rip. Come on, dude. Can't even plan for him. We got James. We got Caleb Herring, bro. Come on, yo. Caleb is the dog. We got Jason Jenkins. I'm telling you, he's a sleeper. Jason Jenkins is a sleeper. Don Bailey for sure. Tyree, we got dogs everywhere. So it's like you can't really plan for us, honestly.
The culture that Hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standard is to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
Consistent competitors, elite competitors. You're the same guy every single day. No matter who's in the stands, everybody 102,000 or nobody. Opponents nameless, it's faceless. Being consistent in the way that we approach the game. We had a good start to the football game.
Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. We play for another. We fight for another. Every fight, every play, every round. Hey, Tennessee on 2. 1, 2. Tennessee. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready.
Can't help but laugh at that intro music. I wish we were professional around here. I wish we had like all this tech stuff and we could fade the music in as we come on, and I could be like, welcome in, have a good Friday commute. We're here to get you through the workday. WQR TV down here in Knoxville. We're at Coach Rice's Dodge, Nissan, Chevrolet. We're gonna be here all day, giving away free t-shirts. Come on down. Man, oh man, it is Friday. We got one more sleep, Coach Jay, and then it's game day. You're live on location. Tell them where you at. You're a little nervous. Coach Jay, a little nervous this morning.
I'm in the boo. I'm in Malibu, guys. I'm chilling at the coach's offices here. Oh, whoa.
Is that the Coors Light? You drinking Coors Light already? You got some Coors Light down there on the... Oh, sorry.
It's Red Bull. It's Red Bull, but I do have a makeshift camera up, so bear with me, guys, if my camera randomly falls and I spill our game plan that's hidden somewhere behind me, and I'm fired before I get started here, as Boogie mentioned. I didn't think I would be. I don't know when the last time I got nervous was, Boogie, for a game, but in my game, it's not even this week. It's next week. It's next week. But I woke up. We're doing schoolings, and walkthroughs, and I'm a little nervous, man. First college game, first time being in the booth. It's albeit it's a low division, but I'm excited, man. I can't wait. It's a good nervous energy, but I'm super excited, man.
I'm fired up, man. We're going to talk about this Oklahoma game. We're going to get you guys dialed in, ready for kickoff. But let's see who's in the chat bright and early. We've got about 200 people watching live. Smash the thumbs up, share the link, let people know there was a time change this morning. Get in here and let's talk about this Arkansas game. Ace Diddy is in the house. This Colt of 8. What is up, my friend? Sands Racing is here. Says Oklahoma is overrated garbage. The balls will make them look like Colorado. Man, I hope so. I get more anxious and nervous as the week goes on. I love this comment. We were laughing right before we went live. Aaron Duck says, not sure what I love more about Fridays. The 6 YouTube ads or the 3 ad reads that Locked On forces their shows to have, or the Boogie hate in the comments. He's talking about a little Locked On Talkin VAWLS over on the Locked On VAWLS channel with Eric Kane. Always fun jumping on Talking Ball with Kaner. Always fun to see the trolls and the haters in the comment section. I was laughing. The reason this is funny is because we were laughing right before we went live. I'm the number 1 thread on VolQuest right now. I mean, some poor, lame. Draco won. Let's call him out by name. What are you doing, Drake? I hope you're tuned in, hope dialed in, hoping you're having a great Friday morning. Man, oh man. He was thinking about me last night and just could not resist posting on VolQuest. But you know what, Coach Jay? That tells me that football season is here because the haters and the trolls come out. There's so much going into this game. So many storylines, and maybe we'll kind of go through them step by step here. But what's your biggest storyline? Like, what's the most interesting to you? You got Oklahoma's first SEC game, Nico's first road game. I like the storyline that probably would have been a huge selling point if not for the Josh Heupel story. Nico versus Jackson Arnold. Like, those are 2 5-star quarterbacks. If you remember back when Tennessee was recruiting Nico, that Jackson Arnold was the other guy in the conversation with Nico and Arch Manning. And then, of course, you got the big headliner, Josh Heupel, going back to Oklahoma. What's your big storyline, or what's the most interesting to you?
Interesting? Yeah, I think I'd have to go with the 5-star freshman quarterback matchup for most interesting. The one I'll be kind of watching closely is a defensive guy that was, of course, this defensive front 7 and how the defense. Listen, we should be dominant on the defensive line. I expect us to be dominant. I've said it for a long time on this channel. I think this is Nico's breakout game. I really, really do believe that. I stand by that. If I'm wrong about it, I'm wrong about it. But I do believe it. But listen, I think if something were to go haywire in this game, it would be because we didn't dominate like we should have across the front 7 on the defensive side.
Let me catch up with you guys in the chat. You guys being very generous this morning. This is the Drake Appreciation Super Chats. That's what these are. Every Super Chat that comes in, Drake loses another hour of sleep. So let's keep them rolling in. Let's fuel the hate. Don't make me have to play the song. I'll play the song. $100 Super Chat. I'll play the song this morning just because that's the type of mood I am in. Big Trey for 5 says, Dorfy, expect y'all to bring it. Bring it.
Round the time.
Bring it in. What is he trying to say? Big Trey, you're making me think this rock star's got something in it. Bring it in. Like Ron the Don this morning, there is about to be a reckoning. Let's go to church. Colt VAWLS girl is in the house. What is up, my friend? She drops a $10 super chat. She says, Dorfy. Good morning, Colt. Good morning, VAWLS girl. It's good to see you in the chat. Dylan drops a 5. Says, what's the difference in an Oklahoma Sooner and $1? You can get 4 quarters out of $1. VAWLS by. Yeah, I like it. Scott Bennett for 5 says, cover charge Monday and Friday morning lives make the work week worth going through. Dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. I'm just curious though. I mean, we do 10 a.m. on Fridays because that obviously Coach Jay is in California, so he's getting up super early to do it even at 10 o'clock. Friday usually has more viewers than Monday. Is 10 o'clock a better time? Should we change the Monday show to 10 a.m. or do you? I just thought not to be better. So I'm just curious if the viewership going up normally on Fridays is because of the time slot or because it's closer to the game. I want to do the time slot that's best for you guys. So if 10 a.m. works better, we can shift that Monday morning show around. The Sammy P for 5 says, good morning, Vols by 20 this Saturday. I love the confidence. It's good to see you in the chat, Sammy P. We need to see you on a Tuesday, brother. Ryan Higgerson for 5, Tennessee's defense is better than anything Oklahoma has seen. Why has no one taken the time to compare ours to what they have been up against? You know, I talked about that actually on Locked On Vols over with Eric Kane that posted this morning. I'm sick and tired of hearing that Tennessee hasn't played anybody when Oklahoma hasn't played anybody either. We can come back to that. Tyler Maxwell for 2, haven't got anything done at work all week. GBO. That means we are back. Tyler. Rocky Top Time for 5. Nothing will go wrong, Coach Jay. Oklahoma will find out shortly what it's like to get their corn from a jar because they won't have any teeth. He says teeth. Evan Counts for 5 says, can we hear some spooky Rocky Top? I don't have that on here. All I've got is a taunting song about money to piss off the haters. But Evan, we appreciate the super chat. When you look at this schedule and who Tennessee has played and who Tennessee has beat, I think their body of work is more impressive than Oklahoma. I mean, NC State was a top 25 team until they weren't. Oklahoma was great till we roll in there and take care of business, and then they weren't. Why is everybody talking about how Tennessee hasn't played anybody while ignoring the fact that neither has Oklahoma?
Maybe because Kent State's so bad and Chattanooga doesn't get maybe the respect they deserve. And I get it. Chattanooga doesn't, play in the Big Ten or the SEC or something like that. If they played Tulane, they would lose. I'm not so convinced they would. They could lose to Houston, but they could step out and play with a Houston team. Certainly, that Houston team's a little down on their luck right now. I think that's part of it. I think people are giving Tulane a lot of respect for nearly beating a Kansas State team that also beat Arizona very handily, and they're getting some love there. But I certainly think NC State and Tulane. If they played 10 times, I think NC State would beat them 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 times, something like that. So, maybe that's part of the reason. But look, one team looks like a well-oiled machine. The other team looks like they got a couple gears loose, but could have a nice car if they kind of were able to make the right adjustments in time.
Well, let's jump back into some of these storylines again. One of those storylines is Oklahoma coming to the SEC, and it's fitting, right? The story with Josh Heupel, but Tennessee going on the road, their first SEC game, it's gonna be a hostile environment, man. It is. It's gonna be electric. They're gonna be ready to go, no matter what the results are. Barely sneaking by Houston, Tulane hanging around late. The bottom line is, Oklahoma's 3-0, and they've got everything to play for. And at the end of the year, nobody looks back and goes, well, they struggled against Houston if they're undefeated or they've got one loss. But Oklahoma coming to the SEC, where do you think they fit into this? You think they're ready to be in the SEC? And, not to bury the lead here, we're going to talk about who this game means more for and take a look at what Greg McElroy and Josh Pate had to say. But if Oklahoma drops this game, they go on the road to play Auburn next week. Then they've got Texas. They've got number 5 Ole Miss on the road. They've got Missouri on the road. They've got Alabama, and they've got LSU on the road. Are they ready? And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's interesting to see the last time there was a matchup of this caliber in Oklahoma. And I know part of that is because Texas, the Red Rivalry Shootout or whatever, didn't they have to change the name? The Red River
probably.
Shootout. Didn't they change the name? Anyway, that's at a neutral site. So you take Oklahoma, Texas out of the equation. Who's rolling through and playing at Oklahoma that's worth a dime? Now you got a gauntlet. You got Murderers Row of the SEC.
Yeah, it is Murderers Row. I think Oklahoma, and you can kind of see it in the injury report or whatever the heck it is the SEC is making them call it. I think they're going to try to play a lot of people that are still a little bit banged up because they realize they got holes and they got to get something out there because they're in dire straits. Walking into this thing, first impressions matter a lot in the SEC. And, if I'm Brent Venables and you could choose, okay, I got this gauntlet in front of me, I'd be shooting for the Vols, man, right out of the gate. You go to Auburn on the road and then you go to Murderers Row. People are going to kind of remember that first game. And if you end up banged up more than you already are at some point going through the gauntlet, it's kind of easy to explain away. But you kind of got that one game where you could say, okay, we're going to, put our best foot forward and try to pull off a at-home upset, which is also advantageous to you. Are they ready to walk through that gauntlet in the SEC? I say no. I don't think you can walk into this conference with no offensive line, even when you do have a good offense. Think back to Josh Heupel's very first year. We were fun, sure. We were a lot of fun, and it was great to watch our team put up many points, and that was welcome sight of all fans to see. But we still didn't have the offensive line to compete in the SEC in a week in and week out level, and we saw that adjudicated in our record. So yeah, I don't think they're ready from a offensive line standpoint, and I know a lot of people put a lot of love into their defensive line, but I don't think they have the strength of depth in their defensive line either, to be completely honest with you.
Let me catch up with you guys in the chat. We're going to come back to that injury report because there's a few things I want to talk about on there and kind of bleed it into pretty much what Coach Jay was saying there with their offensive line. Wesley for 10 says, let's freaking go. Big Orange Vols by 50. Appreciate the super chat, Wesley. We got a t-shirt that says that. We also got a t-shirt that says Colt member, like Coach Jay's rocking right there. You guys go check that out. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Good to see Marcus Rush in the house. Drops a $5 super chat, says Dorothy, one more day before our boys take the field. Ready. Good luck, Coach Jay. Everybody's pulling for you,
Thank
man.
you kindly. Yeah, appreciate that, everybody. Thank you.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, man. I hope you have all the success. Like, I think it hit me, number one, when you got the job, and then when we were going through the coaching searches, right? Because Brian Jean-Marie's gone and Coach Mack's gone. And like I'm looking at the Coach Sims and like his body of work as a coach, and even Coach Inge, and it's like, man, you see these guys and they start Division III, Division II analysts,
sure.
and then they move up, they get a position coach job, and you're young, man. You're young, so I hope nothing more than one day I have to figure out how I'm going to do this show without you. It's probably too early for you to listen to Locked On Talkin VAWLS. You got a hilarious shout out on there. You and freaking Eric Kane, we were talking about Jacoby Thomas, and of course the hit comes up from last week, and he just word for word regurgitates what you said about great tackle. Just keep your head up.
Yeah,
I'm like, you old linebackers. Always got the same
Mm-hmm.
narrative. It makes me laugh. It's funny. Amber's in the house, drops a $10 super chat. We appreciate you. Amber says, what do y'all think Pate is being more cautious about? Why do you all think Pate is being more cautious about this game? I know he picked Tennessee to win, but he thinks it's going to be a shootout. I'm assuming because the environment. First of all, I love Josh Pate. I say that all the time. But a lot of the criticism of Josh Pate is that he always gives himself an out. Like the way he goes into his predictions, he can always take a left turn and kind of come out smelling like roses either way. I didn't like what he said about this game. I did not like what he said about this game because the narrative that he formed and talking about how Tennessee's not played anybody and talking about, I think Tennessee's secondary is way better than the national media thinks. And some of these national guys, I get it. Like, I love Cole Kubelik. He's great at his job. You can tell there are times that these guys don't watch the games because that's just look, I can sit here. We can talk Tennessee football all day because we watch every game. Some of us watch it 17 times, some of us 2 or 3 times, but we know this football program. All you guys in the chat know this football program. And we can look at Oklahoma and you know, we see they're a top 15 team. We see their schedule. We see their body of work. And maybe you go watch each game once. Maybe you don't even watch any of the games. You're not going to be as familiar with them. So the national guys, I don't think they can really dial in as much about Tennessee as we can. Right. But no. Josh Pate's great. Why do you think he is being like, one of the things that bothered me is he's like, oh, teams get exposed in week 4. And then I'm like, man, look at what this team, it's not like they just, we kind of slid by NC State or we limped. They have been dominant. But what do you think about Josh Pate?
You know, if I take off my Tennessee orange glasses and Rocky Top hat and awesome Colt member shirt and look at this game just from a gambling standpoint, we'll get into the gambling segment later, guys, so just hold on. But if I do kind of put on those glasses, I think Oklahoma, a full touchdown dog at home, that doesn't happen. They always cover. They've always played Tennessee well. Every little trend from a gambling trend standpoint tells you to take Oklahoma and the points, and that's how this is going to play out, and that people are overreacting to Tennessee's schedule. But if you're looking at it with your eyes, and you've dissected both these teams many, many times, as you said, then I think you got to trust your eyes a little more than you trust your um, historical kind of perspective of the game and statistical perspective of the game.
Thank you, Amber, for the super chat. Stevie J drops a 20 spot. That's an orange boy. You guys know what we do when we get an orange boy.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Stevie J feeling it this morning, says 100-0 Tennessee. Coach Heupel is going to make a statement with this game. Like, from a coaching perspective. And it's different. It's different, right? There's difference in the game that you had circled on the calendar last year. That's the game you were motivated for. And I don't know if your players knew that you were more motivated for that game. I don't know if they knew you had that fire in your eye. How does Josh Heupel, how do you handle this situation? Like being fired and being the scapegoat. And I know that was a long time ago, and Josh Heupel's trying to go through this week as business as usual. His players know. I forget, one of the player moms said these kids grew up with a phone in their hand. They're watching everything. They see everything. So Coach Heupel can get in there and preach it and say, ignore the outside noise, this, that, and the other. They're going to see it. They know this game means a little bit more. How do you balance that as a coach? And as a coach, you have a little bit more fire in your eyes for this one.
Yeah, I think intensity is the operative word here. I think you're more intense in games like this. Your players know, and like you said, you can't bullcrap kids. They'll see right through it. And they're going to see that intensity on the field. They're going to see it in a press conference when you act a little different than you have in the past. They're going to see it in every little thing you do throughout the week. So you don't want to give them, too much rah-rah and too much fire up because you want them to be level-headed. But you certainly want them to see that you are, you have an intensity, you have a sense of urgency. But I think that's the operative word for this season too. I mean, we've talked about it the last couple weeks. Heupel knows he's got a true chance this year. He's got a team that could compete for a national championship. Doesn't mean they will, but they definitely could. They have the ability to do so. And when you have that, you're going to be fired up, man. You're going to be a little more laser focused. And I'm sure the practice field has been an intense one this week on Rocky Top.
Nugs drops a $5 super chat, says, you think DeJoun Terry is giving them tips on how to beat us? I'm thinking there's a lot of injuries in this game.
No, I don't think that. And I don't think that because of all the coaching connections, Nugs. If this were a coaching staff that wasn't familiar with Heupel in the intimate way they are, then I do think maybe someone like DeJoun Terry is giving them tips. But Heupel's offense is kind of always evolving anyways. But it does have the same, meat and potatoes to it. He just changes if he, smashes the potatoes and puts rosemary on them, or, cuts them with a circular cutter, sous vide them and then deep fries them. That kind of changes. But it's always potatoes with Josh Heupel. Venables knows that and knows all about it and will have his own thoughts and theories on how to stop this. Maybe he's got a little tidbit, but I truly think that Venables and Heupel just know each other on a extremely intimate level. If you had that one friend that you grew up playing college football with back in the day and you guys played each other 237,000 times, and that on third down on the 4-yard line, he's going to run, play action pass to the fullback every time. There's just certain things about people. You have that kind of intimacy.
I feel so attacked. I feel so attacked right now.
Yeah. So, I think there is a lot of that inside gamemanship happening. I just don't think it's necessarily coming from DeJoun Terry.
Yeah, you mentioned friends playing each other that many times. What if one side of that friendship got to watch the other person play 4,742 times, but then on the flip side, the other guy only got to compete against him maybe 2 or 3 times, but he still has a winning record. The guy that's got the disadvantage.
That would be totally
hypothetically, if we were to talk about that situation, that's what I would see.
I see.
But I digress. I don't know how to say this name. Jax the Big. Jay the Big. I think he's told us before. Regardless, we appreciate it. He gifted a Talkin VAWLS membership. Thank you so much for that. That is also support. Guys, if you want to support this channel, hit that join button. It's just $1. We greatly appreciate it. That's why we get the opportunity to do these morning shows. Evan counts for 10. My son turned 1 month old the day we whipped Iowa. They aren't that good. Yeah, Oklahoma's not going to be that good after Saturday either, Evan. He says, we now 4-0 together at 9 months old and still no touchdowns. Let's make it 5-0, my good luck charm. That's the answer. We found the answer. Tennessee has not given up a defensive touchdown since Evan's son was born. Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
Boom.
Keep that streak rolling.
Yeah.
Ryan Hooker for 2. We will whoop Oklahoma for Heupel and for Kurt Magid. Let's see. Drew, UT Law for 5. Late Dorfy. Last week's was the first live I watched and commented on doing chemo and Vols set records. Coincidence. Let's do it again. GBO. Man, first of all, thoughts and prayers go out to you, man. Hope everything goes your way. Best of luck with everything going on. That's 2 people. Tony in the chat also is tuning in on the morning shows for his chemo sessions. This is a huge family, man. And if we can distract you and help you get through that, then that's awesome. That's what we're here to do. But thoughts and prayers are with you, Drew. Hope everything goes well. Brad drops a super. Brad is playing process rot. He's like, I got to be at the top. I want to be on the leaderboard. Brad, if you really want to be on the leaderboard, the top donation of the month is $200. So you should have done $200 and 1 cent. Or if you wanted to pass James Moody, you could do $2,000 and 1 cent. But I'll play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Brad for $20 and 1 cent says GBO Sun's recruiting visit won't affect my ability to watch the game. Vols by 2 touchdowns. Yeah, shout out to Brad, his son taking a visit to UT Martin this Saturday. So we're going to continue to watch his career play out, his development. Man, we're pulling for you guys. Thank you for the super chat, Brad. Let's see, what are you guys saying in the chat? We're caught up with you guys in the chat. Let's go back to the injury report real quick because you mentioned it earlier. I've got it pulled up from BallQuest here somewhere. Where'd it go? All right, here we go. So here's the availability report that comes out on Thursday. This will be updated. 90 minutes before kickoff, I think it is. So for Tennessee, we see Jordan Thomas, John Slaughter, Sham Umarov is out. Did they ever say exactly what happened to Sham, or do we still just not know? We just know he's out.
I haven't heard it. It kind of feels like that random injury to Cedric Tillman where we might not know until like 8 weeks later, that they're going to keep him out or maybe play him 1 game. But I do know this: Sham was taking steps and get him healthy for next year because we're going to need him. So that's kind of the bottom line for me.
The big one here for Tennessee is Lance Hurd, because last week Josh Heupel during the Kent State game, and we know how Heupel is with injuries. We know after the gruesome Brew McCoy injury, he was listed on the depth chart as an or the following week. So we know what Josh Heupel's going to do. He's going to play the game. Last week he said if it was Oklahoma, Lance Hurd's going to be playing. This week the availability report comes out. Lance Hurd listed as questionable. By the definition of these availability reports, that means 50% chance. I would say that will be updated 90 minutes before kickoff. I hope that Lance plays, but if not, you'll have John Campbell, you'll have Dane Davis, and people criticize Dane Davis, but his versatility helps you here. So you obviously you want your big offensive tackle Lance Hurd out there, but do you think this is going one of 2 ways? Josh Heupel was just fibbing a little bit last week, or do you think that Lance Hurd's going to play and we're listing him as questionable, even though we know he's going to roll out there?
Man, I hate to say, my gut tells me he's okay and he's going to play, but my brain doesn't know, and that's kudos to Josh Heupel and how he plays these dang things so close to his vest. I absolutely love that. Usually but it changes, I think, how you attack Tennessee on our left side. So it's going to be really interesting to see, certainly. So, I know Austin Price said that. Love Austin Price, best in the game, but I don't know. I feel like Heupel could get some misinformation out through Austin if he needed to.
You think?
Yeah,
the picture, dude. The funniest thing was when he got busted having lunch with Heupel. Like, he disappeared. Like, there was a lot of conversation going on the message board over at VolQuest, and all of a sudden AP disappears, and then a picture surfaces on the internet of AP and Heupel having lunch together, and it's like, dude, yeah, I'm pretty sure he could use him to get some stuff out if he wanted
to. When I was at Nico's homecoming game, his senior year, and Heupel and Halsley were there, and Austin Price was there. I saw you, Austin. I saw you giving coach one of your cheesy fries on the sideline. I so bad wanted to go say hi to Austin Price. I was right behind him in the snack bar line. He was getting some cheese fries. I was like, those look good. I'm going to get some cheese fries. I can go get some cheese fries, talk to Austin. Right then his daughter runs up, gives him a big hug, and I was like, nah, not when you walk up to someone and say hi. I'm good.
Let's roll down here. Let's take a look at Oklahoma's availability report. A little bit more lengthy here. Of course, you got Jaden Gibson. You got 2 wide receivers out, a DB out. I think this is their left guard that's out for the entire year. They got a DB that's doubtful, tight end that's questionable. These are the 2 that I'm keeping an eye on. Branson Hickman, their center, is listed as questionable. High ankle sprain. And me and Kaner were talking about that on Locked On Vols. Man, that's one of those things that can nag you for a long time. And you think you're good, but you're really not good to go. High ankle sprain. So we'll see what happens with him, man. And then Jake Taylor, also questionable. You were talking about this earlier. If there was a position group that I would not want to be banged up going into a game against Tennessee, it's my offensive line. I mean, best defensive line in the country. Tim Banks said it. I think he believes it. I think Rodney Garner knows he's got a special group. The fact that, they're so deep and can rotate, they're gonna grind this Oklahoma offensive line. They're gonna grind them to death. And we've rattled off all the numbers. Tennessee's so good against the 4th in the country right now against the run. The one thing a lot of people have questioned is, man, the numbers aren't there for getting to the quarterback. And Jackson Arnold is a guy, he leads Oklahoma in rushing. Like, my biggest concern for this game is Jackson Arnold getting out, getting loose, playing backyard football, just running around making plays. And a lot of these plays, these runs are not him designed quarterback runs. It's pressure, and he escapes the pocket. And that scares me. That terrifies me a little bit. If you take sack yardage out of it, he's averaging like 7 yards a carry, has over 200 yards rushing. How do you talk about this defensive line versus the offensive line, but then more specifically, how do you get after the quarterback, get pressure on him, but also keep him in that pocket and don't let him get loose?
Well, we'll start at the end of that with the Jackson Arnold getting loose. Number one is with your defensive line. Yeah, you got to be super aggressive and you got to be physical, but you can't do it at a detriment to yourself. You need to break down. You're going to hear it. You need to, shape your knees to nuts, ass down, head up, wrap up, hat on a ball. If you just try to murder him with everything you got, he's going to tuck right under you, and he is going to pick up yards, and that would be a problem. So you need to have some discipline. You need to be violent. But when you see him one-on-one and you see a big cheeseburger sitting in front of you, don't try to go eat it all in one bite. Take a bite of the cheeseburger first. And so you need to have a little bit of discipline from that standpoint. This O-line being banged up like this is bad. Tennessee and Coach Gardner, number one, they're super fast, right? And when I hear things like high ankle sprains and backups, and they weren't getting it done in the first place, that speed is going to show itself. I could see Oklahoma being successful early in the game when everything is scripted and quick and bang, bang, bang. And Coach Banks is kind of jabbing and feeling them out. But as soon as this team gets their feet under them, I expect them to take them into deep water and drown them, kind of like how we've been doing from a defensive standpoint. And you bring up numbers. It's almost impressive that Tennessee's numbers are where they are. I know I brought it up with Nico the other day, but really you could go across the board with that argument, right? Like if Nico plays all 4 quarters, he's averaging 100 yards passing a quarter, right? So that's 400 yards a game right now is what Nico's averaging. So his statistics are phenomenal. I think if you projected our starting defense's numbers into full games, it would be truly very, very impressive what we've been doing across the board. So everything's relative.
I am excited to see Nico when it matters, and every game matters. In the NC State game, you felt like it was going to have that, but it really didn't have that. I'm excited to see him when it matters. I saw a quote from former Oklahoma quarterback, also former Oklahoma coach, Kel Gundy, said Nico's going to win a Heisman. He says, I think he's a Heisman winner if he stays healthy before he leaves college. And then he goes on to say, I think he could potentially be the first player taken in the draft someday. These are conversations we've had on this channel for the last 2 years. But now that people are seeing him in the national spotlight, that confirmation comes in. Like all these experts, all these analysts are saying the same thing that you were saying, that Coach P was saying, that everybody was saying about Nico in high school. Now everybody's getting to see it, but I want to see that next step. I want to see it against an Oklahoma on the road. I think it is a true, like everybody keeps using the word statement. We're going to make a statement on Saturday, and I think we are going to make a statement, and I'm excited to see it. But dang it, I'm going to be nervous when I wake up tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But it's good. It's good to have that. Man, for so many years, it was just like, whatever. What's the word? Apathy?
Yeah,
it's like that.
It's like that first loss was like, okay, good. Now I can relax and enjoy what I already knew was going to happen. And, hopefully we win, maybe. Gosh, I hate that loser attitude. And man, am I happy that games are really, really important to us, and we can be nervous about them. And there's nothing wrong with being nervous about this game from a fan. I know a lot of people perspective. I know a lot of people are talking about BBS and and that has, a place, certainly. Yeah, no, I get you, Nelson. Hey, listen, me and Coach Rice have been yelling about how much we love this matchup. But there's many a slip between the cup and the lip, and a lot of things happen out on the football field, right? So being nervous before a big game like this is natural, I guess, is my only point. And a lot can happen, a lot can go right, a lot can go wrong. But when you have the matchup edge on your side, you should always feel good about your odds.
We're gonna come back to that, being nervous about this game and how much it means. Vols girl, been a member for 14 months. We appreciate you. I'm nervous about this game. Nelson, yell at her. Stop yelling at me in the chat and yell at her, Nelson. Said these Oklahoma fans on social media have been relentless and just awful, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Maybe I'm just oblivious to it because too many people are yelling at me and telling me how stupid I am. So maybe I noticed that more than Oklahoma fans. But Vols girl, I keep almost calling her by her real name. I don't know what she wants to be called. I assume Vols girl. And Nelson early in the week was telling me, man, they're everywhere. Boogie, don't you see it? Then he starts screen capturing stuff and sending it to me. I don't know. I guess I've been busy listening to people tell me how stupid I am. Samuel Wright for 5 says, think the talent fee gripes go away if we stomp Oklahoma. And did you watch the Players Lounge pod with Boo Carter and Dante Thornton saying they want to win for Coach Heupel? I didn't watch that. Somebody sent me the link to it. And said that Boo Carter had a special touchdown dance he was going to do if he got a pick 6, but I've not had a chance to go watch it yet. But yeah. I mean, of course these guys want to win for Heupel. I love it. And even though Heupel's going to downplay it and not talk about it, I love it. And speaking of downplaying it, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's an interesting thought. I won't give away the go for tomorrow's day of video, but
talk about a sermon. You get ready. Talk about a sermon.
Coach I was in a little bit of my locker room phase during that shoot, but I really do think they are going to attack underneath us because of our defensive lineman advantage. And if I were picking a player to get an interception, it would be our star or it would be our weak side linebacker. So maybe Boo is aware of that. Maybe Boo kind of knows the game plan and that he can tuck in under some of this. And as fast as Boo is, it would surprise me 0% to see Boo Carter with not only an interception in this game, but 2 sacks.
Big Trey, been a member for 25 months. We appreciate you, Big Trey. Vols girl with another 5 says they keep saying our defense hasn't been that good because they don't have a lot of sacks. Can we go over why we haven't had a lot of sacks? Well, I mean, the opening game, Chattanooga, I mean, that they were cut blocking. They were getting the ball out quick. They weren't taking deep drops. When they did, we did get home. The NC State game, the defensive line was dominant that game. I don't have the numbers in front of me now.
We had a couple in that game, though, right?
I think four sacks and like 13 TFLs or something like that. But again, look at what Tennessee's defense is doing against the run game. 4th in the country against the run. They're giving up 4.3 points per game. Like, how in the world can you say a defense isn't good when they're giving up 4.3 points per game? And 7 of that was on Nico. And Nico's laughing about it because he's like, I've given up more points than the defense. Like, I don't buy the argument that the defense isn't that good.
Yeah, no, either do I. I think this defense is great. I'm 0% worried about the defense. I will go right back to what I've said about the safeties. I know Coach Rice doesn't think they have a prayer of going deep on us. I worry about that quick 3-step back and shoot deep ball. That's about the only thing that worries me as far as deep passing goes in this game. They may pull off, one skinny post, 2 skinny post easy early, but beyond that, I don't think they hit a lot of shots in this game.
Look, the streak is over this game. Oklahoma's going to score a touchdown.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
going to score points. I don't think they're going to score a lot. I think Tennessee's going to win this thing handily, but they are going to score points. They're a good football team. Dakota for 2. Hey, Coach Jay, how are you this fine morning? What am I?
I'm
chopped
good,
liver?
Dakota. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm doing great. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Coach Jay.
Dakota just taking a shot at me. Thank you, Dakota, for the $2 super chat. I want to come back to the what was it? I'm trying to scroll up and find it. I can't remember who it was. Oh, there it is. Samuel. I want to go back up to Samuel bringing up the talent fee gripes. And if you remember something I said in that live stream of holy smokes, what an argument we had. But something that I mentioned is Danny White is innovative. Danny White, look at NIL. Danny White was early with NIL. He was on top of NIL before any of these other schools were. And we're going to see these other schools follow suit. I was listening to the VolQuest podcast from Thursday, the Mailbag podcast, and they were kind of talking about this same thing and how Florida was late to the game on NIL, and that got Florida into a heap of trouble, and they were kind of behind and chasing. You don't want to be last. You want to be first, right? Isn't that what Ricky Bobby said? If you're not first, you're last. Well, Danny White was first, and I said other teams, other schools are going to follow suit. They're going to do the exact same thing, and then I saw this pop up today. Will Ohio State follow Tennessee's lead and add player talent fee to football tickets? Of course. It is going to happen all over the country. Do you have any thoughts on it? We're not going to go too long on this.
After the Wednesday show and everything you guys had to say on the Wednesday show, I put together a couple notes on the fee that I want to go over. It's about 56 pages. Grab a cup of coffee, sit tight. I had a lot to say about X's thoughts, Coach Rice's thoughts. Dauber's thoughts is just a bunch of blank pages. I don't know what's going on with that, but no.
Oh my gosh, shots have been fired. Hey, inside baseball. The middle of that live stream Wednesday, I pick up my phone and text Coach Jay, and I said, I think I made Coach Rice mad.
I agree with the standpoint that if Danny White had just not said anything about it, no one would have noticed. No one would have gave a crap. People would have just been like, ticket prices are getting more expensive every year anyway. And this is just another one of those inflation things. And I think Coach Rice's anger kind of stems from just life right now, man. And you guys were talking about it like everything's expensive. Go buy a gallon of milk, man. Come to California and pay $17 for a gallon of gas or whatever the heck it is right now. Like everything is expensive right now and it sucks. And Coach Rice wants to know when it's going to stop. And I totally get that sentiment. I think we all do because it's hard. But it's also like, yeah, I get everyone's point to it. I'll shut up there because otherwise you get rambling.
No, there was no rambling on. You sure you don't have one more thing? You don't have one more thing? One more thing? Just one more thing?
I'm gonna wait till later in the show and then interrupt you and bring up the thing I have to talk about.
Yeah, wait till I'm either in the middle of reading off 17 super chats, or wait till I'm in the middle of a plug for the week's shows that are coming up. Or man.
I got it. Don't worry.
Goodness gracious, Dauber. I got one more thing. And X pulled it too, and I put him on blast just like I did Dauber. I said, this better be the greatest comment in the history of YouTube. Dakota drops another 2 and says, hey, Boogie, how are you this fine morning? I'm a little sad, Dakota. I'm a little sad, to be honest, but I appreciate your $2 super chat. Joseph Ayers for 2 says, morning, Jets. Hat tip. We about to repo a schooner. John Petty for 5 says, love the show and what you all do for Big Orange Nation. It will be hard to sleep tonight. GBO. I'm going to sleep like a baby because I was up early yesterday and I was up early today. Man, does it not make you respect and love your wife when you have to do what she does? Like she has a busy week this week with work. So I had to get up. I had to get the little guy ready. I had to take him to school. And I'm like, God, this sucks. I prefer to sleep, roll over, get my coffee.
Did you make him lunch?
No, I took no.
Okay.
No, he
Do
gonna
kid,
eat there. He gonna eat. I'm
I
gonna
got
let them pick his lunch.
I got adult kids. Do people still like put the thermos together and put in a lunchbox, or is it like I drive by the high school in my neighborhood, and there's like 50 like Uber Eats people standing outside of
Are
the
you
gate at
serious?
lunchtime holding up bags. It's
I
the
don't think we
weirdest
can
thing,
do
and
that.
it's creepy. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't think we can do that. It's our kids always ate
Yeah, that's
at the
awesome.
school for the most part. But if they
Yeah,
didn't, they would just take it in like a paper bag. They didn't have
gotcha.
the 1980s Transformers lunchbox with
We
the
had a good.
matching thermos.
We had a
Man,
good man.
they have no idea what it was like growing up in the 80s. We really did have it made. Like
We did. We
cartoons are
did.
not like the G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Mm, mm.
Come on. Yeah, Dylan.
Thundercats. Come on.
I was like a soccer mom in the carpool line. Oh man. At Attack drops $1 super chat. We appreciate you. Thank you for the tip in the tip jar. All right, let's get back to what you guys. Pat said I messed up and sent an empty super chat. Well, Pat, what do you want to say, brother? We'll pretend this is your super chat. Oklahoma has the 7th most talented roster. We have the 17th, but we are a better team. Can you talk about how the whole is greater than the sum of the parts in regards to football? What is that based on? Recruiting numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'm sure it is. But listen, if you are fanatical and you kind of follow us through the Cruton with Boogie and the Coaches series and the breakdowns, um, college football is all about, from a recruiting standpoint, is all about evaluation, right? And how you coach them up once they get there, right? So if your evaluations are on point and then you coach them up, they're going to be great. If you miss on an evaluation and you're not coaching them up, they're going to be worse. And I don't care what their star ratings are. That's just a fact and how it is. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yep. This coaching staff evaluates talent. They develop talent. Man, we got some ball coaches now for the first time in a long time. Balls Girl for 5. You can say my real name. I changed it for another reason, not because of anything on this channel. Oh, you changed it because your boyfriend, what's his name again? I can't ever remember his name. Big Orange.
Yeah, I want to
something?
know what movie they watched last week too.
Yeah, they were weird. Weird.
Curious. Yeah.
All right. Shout out, Jenny. We appreciate the super chat. All right, let's go back. Let's rewind time a little bit. I want to go back to what we were talking about. Which team is this game more important for? We talked about Oklahoma's schedule the rest of the way. For us, for Tennessee fans, we've been talking about this Oklahoma game all off season long, all off season. This was the game we were focused on because for me, you win this game on Saturday, you can go 11-1. Dare I say undefeated. You lose this game, you can go 9-3, easily go 9-3. So I think this game is crucial for us if we're looking at a college football playoff. Amber, was it Amber in the chat that was talking about Josh Pate and what he had to say? He was on with Greg McElroy, always college football. Say what you want about the old Bammer. I like his show. I do. I enjoy it. I like what Greg McElroy does. They were talking about this Tennessee-Oklahoma game and who has more pressure on them. Let's take a listen. We're going to pause a couple of times. This is 2-3 minutes of them talking. We're going to pause and provide commentary over top of it a little bit here. Let's take a listen.
Looking at this matchup, though, that Tennessee has this weekend, they look very different. We all acknowledge that. How good is NC State? I don't know. Did NC State implode upon themselves? 100%. But
I don't think Nelson's wrong here. I don't think Nelson's
Pete
wrong
does
here.
look a little high, or maybe his girlfriend broke up with him. I don't know. something looks wrong.
He's got those
Something
blinds
definitely-
shut for a reason. He's got those blinds shut for a reason. All right. I totally missed what Greg McElroy said because Nelson in the chat.
Yeah, it's not about
I look
NC
at this
State.
Tennessee team. I think they're different on both sides of the ball. They go against Oklahoma this week, and it feels like a gotta have it for Tennessee more so than Oklahoma. I don't know why that is, and I'm curious to get your take because if Josh Heupel goes in there and Brent Venables slows the offense down and ultimately gets a surprise victory as a dog at home in their SEC debut, then all the goodwill that Tennessee's built up this season so far feels like it's lost. In victory, give them the trophy. It's over. But in defeat, what's the reaction for Tennessee?
So we'll pause there and come back to it. I think what makes this conversation fun is because this game is huge for both programs, absolutely huge. And he mentioned, Venables slowing down Heupel's offense. I talked about that with Kaner this morning. I think that is a huge part of this game that's intriguing to me. What does Venables do to try to slow down Josh Heupel's offense? Does he sell out and try to stop the run, or does he sit back early? You know, you talked about Tim Banks jabbing early and then making those adjustments. Does Venables, you know, come out and say, okay, can we stop the run with just our base formation, or do I have to add another guy in the box? It's going to be interesting to see what Venables does to try to slow down Josh Heupel's offense. Don't talk too much about your keys. That's going to be dropping in the morning. Don't miss church service in the morning. That video will drop probably around 9 o'clock. Be looking for that. Coach Jay takes us to church. But who does this game mean more to?
I think it means a ton to both of them. I guess maybe Tennessee gets the edge slightly here. But, I mean, you know, it's one game in the season. And, yeah, it's important, and I really want it. But it's for the loser, whoever that is in this game, it's going to be how they respond, right? How they come back and play after that. There's a big part of me that thinks maybe it's bigger for Oklahoma just for the mere fact that they're at home. And you've got to hold your home turf. If Tennessee loses this game in some kind of barn burner, you know, something crazy happens at the end, or it was highly competitive, and then, you know, they get up, they smoke Arkansas, they smoke Florida, they find a way to beat Bama, right? Maybe they drop a close one to Georgia and finish out. You know, do we make the playoffs? Maybe, maybe not. I think it just depends. But it's an important game anyway. You cut it, but I just don't think it's the end of the world either. And you got to kind of bite down if you are the team that loses this game. But I guess I give the edge slightly to Tennessee, although you can argue both sides.
To me, momentum is such a big thing. It's
That's
such
true.
a big thing. And we've seen Tennessee go out, dominate 3 weeks in a row. Now you slip up and lose on the road. Then here comes the narratives, right? Here comes the national media. Just like Greg McElroy just said about NC State, just like everybody said about NC State. Well, they're not as good as we thought. That's exactly what the narrative is going to be about Tennessee. But then we're also going to continue that narrative of Josh Heupel struggles on the road. And even though that kind of got disproven, is disproven a word? If not, I just made it up. That's been disproven a little bit in the past, that he always struggles on the road. But I think people look at games like the South Carolina game. They look at games like the Missouri game. You can say Georgia's Georgia. Like, Georgia beats people everywhere. How many games have they lost in the last 3 years? It's ridiculous. Georgia's Georgia. They're a whole different breed. Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Scenic City VFL becomes a member of the channel. Thank you so much for the support. Went on to say that I've been lurking too long for free. Love this channel, so I got to support. Appreciate you, Scenic City VFL. Joey Carroll for 2. Do we keep the 0 touchdown for opposing offense going? I said this earlier. No, Oklahoma's going to score points. I think I've got them at 17 for my prediction. Coach Jay, I think you agree they're going to score on Saturday night.
Yeah, even at like dream scenario, say happens and we're whacking them 45-3 or something, they're going to get a backdoor touchdown even in that situation. So I think no matter what, they at least get one. But yeah, I think it ends, I guess.
All right, so let's take a listen to how Josh Pate, they're on two different sides of the fence here. Greg thinks it's a bigger game for Tennessee. Josh Pate kind of has a counter argument here, so let's take a listen.
Man, so I may be on the other side of this. I think there's a little more pressure on Oklahoma here, only because I think this 2-game stretch, which you and I talked about in the spring when we looked at schedules, may define their season. They got Tennessee, Auburn on the road, back-to-back weeks. And so later down the road, they play some bigger names. I think this is the stretch that defines whether they're a contender when they play those games. I don't think it'd be the craziest concept of the world for a Josh Heupel Tennessee team that's been a little different away from home if they go into Norman and it's a hornet's nest and they lose 30-27. If they win 34-17 and Oklahoma gets humbled by Josh Heupel, who would have like blood dripping down his mouth, by the way, that's how much they've.
Did he just say if they win 34-17?
Mm-hmm.
What was my prediction? That is hilarious. I didn't catch that the first time. It was 34-17 exactly. I didn't catch that the first time we watched that. I don't know. That's funny.
Looked forward to getting back there with the way it ended for him in Oklahoma. Then that would be a reality check. That would kind of be a grabbing the program by the shoulders and shaking reality into it. And then who knows what they are the next week at Auburn. Then you got the Texas game. You got Bama down the road. So I do agree with you, though. If you think the profile of this Tennessee team is that of more than just a fringe playoff contender. If you really think they're an SEC and national title contender, well, they go win this game and they go handle it. And if they don't, then it's not the end of the world, but the talk rightfully would probably be, oh, maybe it's just the same old, same old. Maybe we got disillusioned a little bit. Maybe we got misled, as college football tends to do us in the first few weeks. And
see, this is what's right. And the reason it's bothering me that he said that right there is because that's what he said in another video that he did. It's oh, we get fooled in the first 3 weeks. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait until Saturday night to go out and beat the brakes off of freaking Oklahoma so people can stop sitting here going, well, you didn't play anybody. Nico's breaking records, scoring more points than they've ever scored. And then I got some idiot Georgia fan. No disrespect to our friend that's in the chat right now. I can't. James is in the chat. I thought he was. Good morning, James. Good to see you in the chat. I got a stupid Georgia fan watching my videos telling me, excuse me, sir, General Neyland never tried to run the score up against an inferior opponent. Do you know who scored 73 points against Carson Newman? Do you know who beat Carson Newman 73-0 in 1929? Excuse me, sir, that would be the one great General Neyland. Now, well, Boogie, you said most points in the modern era. 1929 wasn't in the modern era. Stay dialed in, stay tuned in, and we will get you educated and up to speed. But I am sick and tired of hearing this nonsense. Coach Jay, we're a fourth of the way through the season, and we're making excuses saying we've not played yet. Well, the last time I checked, these games count, and we're setting records for total yards, points scored. We're not giving up a touchdown in God knows how long. Somebody wants to correct me on that and say, well, excuse me, Boogie, the record was 3 games in 1985. I said 4 games, bro. I said 4 games. Coach
Keep
Jay,
them coming. Keep the excuses coming. I've been saying it all year. It's the excuses season, so be ready for them. Enjoy them. Enjoy the excuses. Keep making them, guys. Keep making excuses for your teams.
Ed really misses the intro music. I do too, Ed.
I know, Ed.
I do too. They copyrighted it, so we had to change it, and I miss it too. Now we've got our generic 97.3 WQRXW, Knoxville, Tennessee. We're down here at Tri-Cities Nissan Dodge. Come test drive a Ford Explorer. All right, let's hear more from Josh Pate.
Tennessee, 10 wins, nice, but we were foolish for expecting anything more. It's probably the delineation of the result of this game and what it gives us.
Yeah, I love this game this weekend. I can't wait to watch it. I think Oklahoma's looked terrible, relatively speaking. I think there's a lot more in the tank there, and they might be holding it for this one because, like you said, I think it's a big one for Venables too. But he's got so much goodwill built up within the fan base for bouncing back last year. I just don't know if the reaction is going to be as strong because there's not much expected of Oklahoma this year. Meanwhile, Tennessee,
they got to get those injured guys back. Like they're building up to get all those injured guys back this week. And it's just, you wonder, like, are you looking at some breakout moment? Are you looking at a team that needed a few weeks runway before it could take off? Oregon was that last week. Like maybe Oklahoma's that.
Yeah, and you hope it is for them because if they play the way they played the last 2 weeks, they're going to get rolled.
See, I think when you're a national guy, we as Tennessee fans, all we care about is just go win and go do it, go prove it. And we've talked about this team all offseason. Now we're seeing them do what we hoped. We've talked about this defensive line all offseason. Now we're seeing them go dominate. We've talked about Nico. I don't care if it's Chattanooga or if it's Carson Newman or if it's routes on air. We're seeing him go out and do what we hoped he would do. And for these national guys, they leave themselves that out, right? Well, Tennessee's really good, but they've not played anybody. So if they go out and lose to Oklahoma, I had to change my wording there. If they go out and lose to Oklahoma, then those national guys can say, well, we were right. They hadn't played anybody. They weren't as good as they thought.
Yeah, it's, gosh, man, like the national guys, like you said, they try to keep as many of the little clips of them being wrong down as you possibly can, right? And like you said, make other avenues so that you don't sound bad. And to be fair to them, it's hard, man. College football is tough, and there are people who take off and, this is this, and you thought it was that. But, teams like Oregon, I think, is a bad example. Oregon had all the pieces. They didn't have this huge question mark, and things weren't being jumbled up. They just weren't executing. Oklahoma has always had this huge question mark at offensive line, and how would this offense be able to function? It's not like they had that fixed and they're just not executing. No, that never was fixed. It was never even built, and it's got some partially broken pieces, and you're like, oh, hey, give me back this broken Lego, and I'm going to put it there, and this house is going to be awesome when, I step on it, walking by it on accident, and am hooping and hollering. But nevertheless, the house is broken. So, yeah, I just don't think Oklahoma has a fixable problem on that offensive line. Maybe they'll make us look stupid, but I don't think so.
And I'm not hating on Josh Pate. I love Josh
Yeah,
Pate.
I
I
like
love
Pate.
JD Piquel. I think both of those guys do a great job for the companies they work for. And Dakota says they're here for clicks. Look, if you're on YouTube talking into a microphone, you're here for clicks. Everybody's here for clicks. That's the name of the game. So I get it. I get it. But I don't know. I thought it was worth talking about. Pat Attack becomes a member of the channel. Shout out Pat Attack. We appreciate you. Get those memberships in. We're on that membership drive. Still, if you don't have a power T beside your name, you can fix that. Hit that join button. Coach Jay, do you need to go? I completely forgot about your betting segment till right now.
Get me out at 7:15 by 7:15, and I can do it.
All right. Well, let's just wrap with the betting odds. So, how did you do last week? What was your big bets? What'd you bring home? What'd you win? What'd you lose? Did you have to sell your car?
I got to be honest with you. Last week, I came on here and gave advice, and then I woke up game day and I followed about half of it.
Oh, that's why we don't condone gambling here on the Talkin VAWLS Network.
Like I was a jerk about it. I need to be better about that. Like I was yapping about Wyoming. Thank God I didn't wake up and bet them, because that would have gone poorly.
Oh my gosh, Coach Jay, you're gonna make this the worst segment. Everybody loves it, and they're turning on you.
Sorry, obviously I loved Tennessee. That was an easy cover. I liked FSU to lose on the money line. That was easy. So if everyone had that, then they were good. I had Texas A&M. That was easy. Yeah, so things went well, but it was I have it a little more dialed in this week, and I have literally bet everything I'm going to tell you. So I did challenge myself to tighten the screws a little bit here for you this week on the gambling segment.
Yeah, we need you to give us a good 63 effort. I mean, give us a good 63 effort so everybody in the chat can build their financial income brick by brick.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
I mean, that's sound advice. So let's not lose this game. Give us some advice. What do we got? What are the bets this week?
So I will. There's a caveat to this one. I took Illinois plus 9.5. It has since moved down to 7.5 versus Nebraska. I'm trying to go in time slot order here. This is the earlier game. 4-leg parlay. Yeah. So my book has it at 7.5. Illinois getting 7.5. I like Illinois here. I think Illinois is a sneaky good team. I think they could beat Nebraska. If you're looking for a crazy money line pick and you don't want to kind of bet a low amount of money, but put a couple money line spreads together, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. I think Illinois pulls this game out, actually. So I do feel very comfortable with the points. So I like Illinois and the points. The second game I'm going to turn to is welcome to the Talkin Trojans Network. My name is Coach Jay, and the Trojans are marching into the University of Michigan. Yeah, see, the games are just in a little different spots on
what time is kickoff? Oh, here it is. I got it.
Yeah, it's early. It's an early kickoff.
Yeah, we got
These are all early first. 5.5. I think USC has a better offense than Texas. They might not have a better offensive line. I think they got equal quarterback play. I think their wide receiver unit is one of the best in the country. I don't think Michigan is very apt on offense or on defense right now. I think they're in a bad spot. I like the Trojans here minus 5.5. That defense has certainly been turned around by the defense coordinator coming into USC. So I really like them in this spot here. I like the Trojans minus 5.5. The next bet I like, I don't even know if this one's on your board, but Kent State is just that bad, guys. If your book has Penn State in Happy Valley minus 49. And I know it's a big number. 48.5, hit that. Guys, and I'm not saying that Tennessee's not special. We don't put up a lot of points, but Kent State is bad. I mean, they have safeties running away from contact when running backs are coming through the A gap. They were bad. Penn State will rout this team by accident. I think they handled us 48.5. Another big game I have with a big number on it is, and I realize they're coming off a tough week, is LSU versus UCLA. There you go right there. 22.5. Guys, UCLA is awful. I just mentioned them losing their defensive coordinator, a dang good one, to the Trojans. He is over there now. UCLA is really rudderless with their coach right now. I love him as a football player, but as a coach, he leaves something to be desired. One of my picks last week, Indiana, just routed UCLA, but I don't even know what it was. It was really ugly, though. Go ahead and don't be afraid to hit UCLA in this game. Moving down the line, Florida State's a mess, guys, and the Cal Bears can play. I won money on Cal the last couple weeks in a row. They've been covering. I think they've covered like 9 or 10 out of their last 11 games. Bet the money line here. Put the extra coin in your pocket. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cal beat Florida State by 10 in this game. I really wouldn't. I think they whack them. And then we're going to take it home with our orange glasses on them and take the Vols. I have them at 6.5 on my book. It's the lowest I've seen them since it was released on my book. So I went ahead and placed a bet on Tennessee today, minus 6.5. And that's Coach Jay's betting advice for this Friday.
Man, wouldn't you like to have this game getting what was it, 4.5? Isn't that what it opened at? 4.5.
Yeah.
Points?
Yep.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, take the money line. Ooh, that'd have been nice. I would have liked that.
You guys like the gambling advice. We don't condone gambling around here, especially this one over here when he friggin' changes his bets after. So
yeah, that's my bad.
If you're gonna bet responsibly. Cheers. You guys enjoy that segment. I think you guys like it. I think Coach Jay does a great job. We're not very professional with it. We were a little bit more dialed in there. It helped you having the time in order of time slots. That helps. So we'll try to do that moving forward. But we appreciate you guys tuning in on this Friday morning. One more sleep, and then Tennessee's going to go take on Oklahoma. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, dropping early in the morning, App State won. App State beat ECU last week. Early in the morning, we're going to be dropping the game day video. That's where Coach Jay breaks down the defense, Coach Rice breaks down the offense, and it is church. Coach Jay gives a sermon, so do not miss that video. Also, go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS for each design. You can pick whatever style of shirt, and then there's colors underneath there too. So you can change the colors, the designs, whatever you want. Go check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below. Also, a quick shout out to all the members of the channel. This Friday morning show does not exist without your support. Even if it's at the dollar level, the more support we get, the more opportunities we have to bring you this type of content. So we are grateful for all the members of the channel. Think about hitting that join button. That link is also in the description below.
I was thinking about Danny White in this 10%.
Dude, you jerk. I thought you were serious. For a second. Oh, and one more thing. That's going to be the next T-shirt design.
Yeah, and one more thing, Boogie, about this 10%.
God bless Dauber's heart. I think the worst was not one more thing. I think it was I asked him specifically a question about the secondary, and he wants to start talking about the running backs. I'm like, did you listen to anything that came out of my mouth? What? Yeah, this better be like earth-shattering commentary on the running backs.
Nah,
Shout out Dauber. Love me some Dauber. Gage Revis been a member for 8 months. We appreciate your support, Gage. Michelle's driving a tip in the tip jar. Michelle snuck in, and she sat there and she watched the whole show in the back corner by herself, not talking to anybody. And on the way out, she's like, well, that was a pretty good show, so I'm going to drop my 20 into the offering plate. Shout out, Michelle. We appreciate the super chat. That's Orange Boy. We got a rule around here. You drop an Orange Boy, we got to play the clip.
Rocky Top!
Although I wish it would have been $20.02 so we could have knocked Brad off the leaderboard.
Oh,
But that's okay. Shout out, Michelle. We appreciate it. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. If you haven't hit the thumbs up on the way out the door. We would be grateful for that. Tune in tomorrow morning, live an hour before kickoff for the tailgate show. And then immediately following the game, you're going to get a little Boogie and the coaches for a special post-game show for Tennessee, Oklahoma. But that is going to do it for this one. For Coach Jay, my name's Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
The